Welcome to another Keelhauled podcast. I'm your host, CaptainLogun, and we've got a lot of Sea of Thieves news to cover today, so tie yourselves to the mast and hold fast. Ahoy there, pirates. I hope you had yourselves a good week and a good weekend. I know I did. This week, we're going to be talking about what to expect with the coming week, as we are now going to be jumping into Act 2 of Sea of Thieves' Season 9 with the Bilge Rats Weekender. We've got a lot to talk about and a lot to cover, so with that, pirates, let's get into it. But before we get into any of that, I have to thank the patrons. They're the ones that went over to patreon.com/Keelhauled podcast to support this content and make sure that things are taken care of. As much as I appreciate everything that they do, I can't thank them enough for the continued support when they can. And again, it's one of those things that I always want to make sure that you guys know. It's not a requirement. It's just a recommendation to help pay for the bills, but I don't need you guys to feel obligated to it. But I definitely appreciate when you let me know if you aren't going to be able to support anymore because of reasons, because I always appreciate the fact that you guys are doing it in the first place. So as always, I like to shout out the captains, and to make sure that they are taken care of, as well as the gold hoarders. So with that being said, thank you to A-Chick, L-Cute, Balls, Blue Turtle V1, Captain Chonky, Chateau Noof, Super Pack, Zombie Killer, Cosmic Johnson, Static Mirror, Crazy Frog, Davram TV, El Jefe Esteban, Godhammer 6, Jeff H, Carl Embo of Embo Family Gaming, Elvin Vramir, Evil Morpheus, Space Admiral Oars, Xbox Mike 29, Rabid Raccoon, Blue Crab, Real Big Tuna coming back. Appreciate you having back. Reap's Revenge, Regis Stella, the Brony Pirate, Ribloid, Rustbelt Kid, Shoe Daddy 13, Tales of the Sea, The Demon Jester, Tommy D, TN Professor, Wailing Witch, Wild Hog Murph, Big Bad Pad, Mina Fairy, Hegger Owl, Captain Duckweed, Evil Martha. Sorry, I don't know why I slipped on that one. Peter Miller, Rooski Doo, Thor Von Blitz, Luke Lore, the Insipid Ghost, and Wow. Thank you all so much for your love, for your support. It really does help take care of things on my end, and that means a lot. So thank you so much. And pirates, with that, let's get into it. First on today's docket, we have got ourselves some fight nights going on this week, and hopefully you all were able to actually get those completed. The last bit of the season circle kind of is in play right now, so if you haven't done all of your deeds for Act 1, I would encourage you to do those. I myself was extremely frustrated at trying to get the last circle one done so that I could get the cosmetic for that before the 16th. I was finally able to do that, and as soon as it was done, I sank, but I was like very happy that I was like, no, I'm done. I do not like that mode. It's not fun. It's only better when I have friends with me in larger groups, and I can usually just focus on doing one thing and leave other aspects to people who are better suited for that. So I was able to get the time limited cosmetics. Not a fan of when we just have these like straight PvP hourglass things, because I would much rather actually go do stuff in adventure, to be perfectly honest. And I ended up doing just that. Went around, did some adventure stuff, got a couple commendations knocked out, and then chased around a brig for a while before eventually they ran off and then dropped their flag, sold their stuff, and then came back. And then we proceeded to get what we needed to do, which was open up a vault to be able to, or a banished vault, to be able to read the last Bell's journal that we needed. And then they came in looking for a fight after they'd gotten rid of all their risk. And then we fought them in a circle for a little bit, but then they ended up just, we ended up leaving because we were like, well, we don't have the supplies to be able to bother with this. And they keep dipping out as soon as they get hit with a couple of cannonballs. So they're not really trying to engage and actually do anything. They're just trying to like be annoying, and they don't have the I don't know. It was a brig versus a sloop. So I was just like, all right, this is dumb. So got a lot done this weekend as far as like the Sea of Thieves sailing around. So I was happy about that. Also happy that the fight nights are done. Because man, I just do not enjoy that content. The other thing that I wanted to let you guys know about too is you have until April 16th. April 16th is basically the big day, right? So April 16th, which is Thursday, you have until then, and I would not put this off. If you're thinking about it and you have some time, I would recommend doing this now. Make sure you go in and talk to Lorena. She's going to have the items for those of you who collected enough doubloons, which I think realistically you only need 4,050 doubloons to be able to buy the items that she has on sale right now. These are the Doubloon Hoarder title, the eye patch, the belt, and the sails. So make sure you're buying those if you want one in particular, especially if you don't have enough to cover the other parts of that. If you do have it, you've probably already bought it, but just to make sure you have until the 16th to be able to go in and buy whatever you want. And then anything left over is just going to get awarded to you based on how much currency you have. So we'll say, for example, you have 3,000 doubloons in your pocket right now, and you haven't bought anything. Chances are you'll be able to get the belt and the eye patch and the title, but you won't be able to get the sails. But if you have leftovers, those will go towards the purchase of the other items, and they'll just deduct that, and then once the currency gets wiped, those will show up in your inventory. When the 16th happens, that is going to be the marker for when you can no longer earn doubloons to count towards the 50,000 doubloons over the course of the lifespan of your account on your pirate, to be able to get that gold hoarder, or not the gold hoarder, the Doubloon Hoarder cutlass. So they haven't expressed how they're going to be doing this. They haven't expressed when this is going to be something that they are going to be providing people. So at this point, it's Thursday's the cutoff. After Thursday, you just have to wait and see if you earned enough over the course of the lifespan of playing Sea of Thieves, 50,000 doubloons. I have no way of knowing. I have basically gone in not last weekend, but the weekend before that, or whenever the community weekend was. I went and sold all of my doubloons. I converted everything during the grade 5 of the community weekend into gold. So I got about 8 million off of what I had. So at that point I was like, okay, I'm good. I'm done. Anything else that's left over in doubloons right now, all of the doubloons that I have left, which is I think in the neighborhood of like 20 to 30, not that much. Those are going to get converted over to gold. So after April 16th, we just have to wait and see like what's going on with the sword. I may or may not get it. I'll let you guys know if I do. And hopefully you guys get it too, especially if you've been playing a long time and you weren't sure. So after that, everything is going to get wiped for doubloons. All doubloons are going to get reset, and your current amount of doubloons that you have are going to be converted into gold. So you're probably going to log in on April 16th when the servers come back up. And if you haven't done anything with your doubloons, you're going to notice that you have 0 out of 4,000, and you're going to have a lot more gold. So just have a heads up for that. Once the new update goes live on the 16th, anything that was already in the stores for cosmetics, whether it be the clothing shop, whether it be the equipment shop, whether it be the weapon shop, any of those stores that had items that were purchasable with doubloons are getting converted to gold. So if you didn't have the amount of doubloons to be able to buy something, say you had I don't know, like a 200, and it was a 450 doubloon costing cosmetic, who knows? And you go in on Thursday, if you have enough gold, you should be able to buy that as long as it was unlocked, because there's usually commendation locks behind a lot of them. But effectively anything that was previously doubloons will now cost gold. So you're getting gold for the doubloons that are left over in your pirate's account, or in your pirate's wallet, and then anything that was doubloons is getting converted to gold for purchase. On top of that, the Bilge Rat Weekender is going to kick off, and you're going to have about 4 to 5 limited time voyages. These voyages are going to be intended for you to go out and actually find chests that are, or like crates of doubloons that are Bilge Rat ones at sunken ships. And that voyage is intended to kind of get you out there to go find these sunken ships with the doubloon cache in there. You'll then get that and then turn that into Bilge Rats around the world. And then there's the other one, which is having to deliver cargo along the golden path of on the map. So if you go look at the map, somewhere on the map is going to be a golden path. And you have to, for whatever reason, I don't know why it has to be on the golden path. I think it's just them saying, take this from one person like Ix over to one of the other Bilge Rats. And I think that's their intent. I don't think you actually have to stay on the golden path, but we'll have to wait until the game actually goes live to be able to test that. Because I don't think I've actually seen it in Insiders. Because I haven't been logging in all the time. Only like once a week, if possible. So what I will tell you is that those are time limited voyages. You get them for just logging in. You should already have them. And when you complete them, then you will get doubloons. The chests that are out there, you can steal from other pirates, but they're only going to count for doubloons up to a certain number. And then after that, you're kind of done. So you'll have to wait for the next Bilge Rat Weekender. I don't know for sure because they haven't been explicit about this, but the Festival of Fishing is coming back. It is one of those ones where they are going to have the voyages to go hunt down fish, to fish them up. They're also going to have you do some of those Merrick's kind of recipes to be able to craft or cook stuff to then take to specific people. And I know that was something that they wanted to bring back. I also know that's something they want to expand upon, to be able to have like a way for you to like cook up multiple items and then combine those items into a new type of food that you then deliver. But that is, I don't think that they had an opportunity to do that with this. I think they're just bringing it back. Alongside that, you're actually going to get double gold and double rep for any of the fish that you turn in during the Bilge Rat Weekender, because they are kind of kicking it off with Hunter's Call. I appreciate that they're doing that because if you've been listening to the podcast for a while, you know that I have been saying that they need to have these kind of week-long events where they kind of showcase a specific trade company, and that trade company has bonuses to golden reputation. So I think this is exactly what I've been asking for. I'm very happy about that. I don't know about the frequency. We'll have to see how that goes, but I know that they want to do the Bilge Rat Weekenders multiple times, like once a month at least. So if that's the case and they're cycling through different trade companies with different events or festivals or whatever they want to call them, then I think that's a good win. I think that's a good way to add stuff to the game. Do I think, actual like real content needs to make its way to the game as well? Yes, but this is going to be a good way to fill the gaps, which is exactly what I think works well for like World of Warcraft. World of Warcraft has events that are going on all the time. Right now it's Noble Garden for Easter, so you have to go do a bunch of like Easter egg hunts and stuff like that and turn people into bunnies and whatnot. But that's only going to be going on for a week or two, and then once that is done, that will die, and then another event will kick up later on, probably next month, for some other event like March of the Murlocs or revisit Karazhan. There's other events that they do, and this is just kind of a way to emphasize older content. And with the way that they're going about it, with the addition to having that golden rep increase for that reputation, I like that they're kind of saying like, hey, if you enjoyed this event and it was in the past, we're going to bring it back in a way that we did back when they did Shrouded, or not Shrouded. I always say it's the Shrouded. It's the Hungering Deep, because we had the Shrouded Deep, but it was the Hungering Deep. And everyone enjoyed the Hungering Deep, and they're like, oh man, I love the Megalodon. When's it going to come back? Well, Shrouded Spoils, like 6 to 9 months later, they brought it back. And now they're doing that with this. It may not seem like a lot, because right now it does feel like pretty light content. They're doing quality of life changes to Hourglass. They're doing a new mode with Last Ship Standing. And they're doing Bilge Rat Weekenders, which is just bringing back old content and emphasizing you to do stuff for the Bilge Rats to be able to earn these doubloon crates and secret shipment crates to be able to get doubloons. So I'm glad that they're doing this, but at some point we will definitely like to see content come that evolves the world. I know that they're working on it, that it's probably going to be post custom seas, because I think at this point we're all aware of like what their trajectory is. They wanted to have time to be able to really kind of shore up some of the stuff that's going on with the content that they're making, instead of releasing it when they want to, when they plan to release it, as opposed to when it's done. So I'm okay with this. It's going to mean that content's going to be light. So, hopefully you've got stuff on the back burner that you've been holding off on doing, so you can go work on stuff like that, or you can just, go out and just start earning more gold, stowing it away. They said that they're going to be bringing more stuff to the shop, and I talked a lot about that on last week's episode, as far as how they're readdressing the season pass system. So chances are, instead of just earning stuff in Renown, we'll probably have to buy it with gold. Is that a thing that I like? It's kind of reallocating resources to shore up a sore spot that originally was something that we'd rather have the season pass that we have, and just have more content. Like it seems greedy. It does. It seems greedy. It seems entitled from a consumer's perspective. But we've also been there when they have done this, and we can see that they can manage it. But for whatever reason, that's just not as plausible right now. And it definitely says that there's something else going on with the studio that they won't talk about. And that's fine. That's their business. They are a business. They don't have to reveal everything. Microsoft is a publicly traded company, but Microsoft doesn't tell everyone everything when it comes to stuff. They tell everyone when it's going to impact their shares, that they're doing something, or if it's a PR thing. So I have a suspicion that something is going on with Sea of Thieves, and that they are looking to do something, or they're working on something for Sea of Thieves that we won't know right now, and that it's something that they aren't ready to talk about, or they've got another project going, which they desperately need to, if they hope to have something in the next 5 years if Sea of Thieves does not do well. Because we heard on the last community direct from Drew, and I don't know if this is just tossing out a number, or if this was actually something that's intent on them for them to do, but they did talk about them making plans for content that will cover for the next 5 years, and planning how to do that. Well, originally they said this was going to be a 10-year game. We're fast approaching that 10 years. We're 8 years right now. So if the studio is banking on the next 5 years at least, that says to me that they're giving themselves runway to either do something with Sea of Thieves that will be really big and draw more attention to it, even though it's still doing fairly well, or they are looking to build up another game, whether it's a single player game, whether it's a multiplayer game, whether it's an extension to Sea of Thieves, whether it's a proper expansion or like a sequel. Who knows what that is? It could just be a port to the Switch 2 for all we know. But I do think that there is something going on with that studio, because the amount of content that they're putting out for Sea of Thieves pales in comparison to when they had a lot more help and a lot more focus on making stuff for Sea of Thieves. We've had Tall Tales, we've had Monkey Islands, we've had that stuff happen, and sometimes the game will suffer as far as like content drops go, but we're still getting some decent amount of content. So something else is going on there, but that's neither here nor there when it comes to the actual like news of the week. So let me get back off of this tangent and to the Bilge Rat Weekender. So when does the Bilge Rat Weekender actually happen? Well, like I mentioned before, it's going to kick off on April 16th, this coming Thursday. When is it going to be done? It is going to be done on Monday, April 20th. So a lot of the time I was anticipating, what is the highlight of Act 2 going to be? It is going to be the Bilge Rat Weekender. And the Bilge Rat Weekender, I thought, was a really dumb name for a month-long event. Who knew? It's not a 1 month event. It is literally a weekender, which means I hope you don't have plans during April, because April 16th through the 20th is going to be the Bilge Rat Weekender. Now, could they do another weekend? Sure. Have they announced that? No. Should they announce that if they plan on doing that? Probably. But with the Bilge Rat Weekender, they said that they intend to celebrate the pirate's life with regular firework displays at outposts and a host of challenges to be completed in return for some of those newly reinvigorated doubloons. Pirates will also have a chance to tackle time-limited voyages in search of Bilge Rat doubloon crates and secret shipment crates, which, if successfully delivered, will be worth a haul of doubloons in their own right, and maybe other treats. And the other treats that they mentioned was something that I think Mike had talked about, earning cosmetics through delivering stuff, not like unlocking them, but getting them from the thing. Who knows if that's actually going to come true, but that's something that I know that he's wanted to have happen basically since 2017, when they did like a huge deep dive on what Sea of Thieves is and like what an Athena chest could do. Past events are also going to be made available during the Bilge Rat Weekenders, starting with the encore appearance of the Festival of Fishing. Of course, pirates will need something to spend all those shiny new coins on, and that's where Lorena and Duke come in. Lorena, relocating inside the tavern for the duration, will offer returning stock for past seasons in her Bilge Rat Weekend or Bilge Rat Black Market, while the nomadic Duke teases some new wares to be purchased if players are able to track him down. And so one of the things that I went and checked out on Insiders is what was actually going to be available. Now, we saw a bit of this in the actual teaser for the content that's coming with Act 2. If you watch that video, you kind of already know some of the stuff that they're going to be bringing. But effectively, they're going to be bringing a handful. And I would say, let's see, they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They've got roughly 20 items that they are going to have available. And those, well, at least on Insiders. And those 20 items are all going to be past season pass items. So if you already have those, then there's not really a whole lot for you to really go buy. But if you don't, then most of these are going to be available for 100 doubloons, with a couple exceptions in there being smaller costing things. I do like that they are bringing some of this stuff back. As someone who is not too precious about cosmetics, a lot of the stuff that I have, I know I earned, and I know that I earned it the way I earned it. Nobody's going to be able to take that away from me, so I'm not too worried about how that is being made available for other people. If other people have access to it and they really love it and they think it's beautiful and it really just rounds out their pirate, then that's great. That's fantastic. Hopefully that is something that they love, because I think that that's one of the best things about, going with cosmetics and Sea of Thieves is you want to have your pirate look the way you want your pirate to look. And we're constantly begging for more cosmetics to be able to like showcase our pirate in a way that really kind of, I can't think of the word that I'm looking for. Not like the word that's stuck in my head is like no, I made up a word. I just have like a weird portmanteau in my brain that I can't even like express properly. But really just kind of says, hey, this is my pirate. So if you have a good word for that, great. I actually saw some folks on the YouTube channel. Thank you so much for sending in the comments on that, by the way. I did read that you guys had called out what the word was that I was looking for. So I appreciate you guys absolutely fact checking me on the actual video there. So that was very much appreciated. and it was engagement. So thank you, Similar Ant. No, wait, yeah, Similar. Wait, have I been reading this wrong this whole time? No, it is Similar Ant. Okay. It's just all smushed together, but Similar Ant said engagement on. So maybe you guys will be able to find out the word that what is the Pee Wee Herman word of the day that I was trying to think of. Remember I used to have issues with tomes and tombs. You know, you bury someone in a tomb and you read a tome, and I always used to conflate those. I almost had a t-shirt about that. I really should have gotten that t-shirt out, but old salts or folks coming back through episode 1. I don't know why, but welcome. I apologize in advance. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the lore. And yeah, that's a that was a thing for a while when those doubloon granting tomes were in those ashen chests, and we had to go hunt those down to be able to turn them in specifically for Bilge Rat adventures. And now they're just kind of redoing that in a different way with smugglers that are definitely not called Bilge Rats because they're smugglers, or we're getting doubloons like it was Bilge Rat stuff. Anyway. So some of the things that you guys might want to know as far as like what are the Bilge Rat challenges? Well, as far as I can tell, these are the same in the video as they are on Insiders. So I'm pretty sure that these are kind of things. So one of them is going to be disrupt a Bilge Rat firework display on Daggertooth Outpost by vomiting. This is going to occur at 9 p.m. at night, and it's going to be in-game time. So every 24 minutes is 1 day in Sea of Thieves. 1 minute is 1 hour in Sea of Thieves. If you guys didn't know that, by the way. I know a lot of you do, but there's some pirates out there who didn't know. But for those of you who didn't know, yes, 1 day in Sea of Thieves is 24 minutes. So if you miss out on this, you just have to wait a half hour and you can then go and actually do it. So set a timer, tell Siri or Google or Cortana or whatever AI grok thing that you use to set timers for yourself. And for the weirdos out there that are still using egg timers, congratulations. I don't know why. If you have a sand in an hourglass somewhere, you know, feel free to flip that a few times to be able to get that timer on there for you. But for all intents and purposes, you'll have to disrupt one of the Bilge Rat fireworks displays by vomiting on it. There is sitting on a stool, pondering the existence by the beacon on crooked masts, which I hate because it's a stupid one. But the nice thing is that we're in an era where we have the grapple gun. So all you have to do is shoot up with your cannon and use a grapple gun, and then you'll be able to do that. Now, the trick there is how do you get a stool up there? Because I don't remember there being a stool up there. I know you can sit on the ledge, but I think you have to get a stool up there. So that'll be interesting to see how that goes. The other one is taunt a skeleton lord with a trap loaded with a chicken firework. So you have to dive to a skeleton lord or wait for an emergent skeleton lord. Doesn't matter if it's there's plenty of voyages actually that have skeleton lords associated with them. So you don't necessarily have to like do that. And it's not an ashen lord, it's a skeleton lord. So like the mutinous helmsman, the two-faced scoundrel, and the woman that I'm forgetting her name. Yeah, nope, it's there. It's somewhere. I'm surprised I remember the other two. You have to go and taunt one of them. So grab a trap, put a chicken firework in there. Good luck finding a chicken firework. I have no clue how you're going to be able to do that. Maybe the Bilge Rat firework crate will actually have one. That would be fantastic because that would save us a lot of time. Then you have to go, one of the other ones is to set another cruise ship ablaze by burning grubs specifically on their stove. And the best way to do that is just burn them and then wait for the fire to actually happen. So good luck getting that done. That's going to be you rowing out or firing out and then swimming. Remember that you've got merfruit, so that if you're trying to be sneaky about it, you can always pop a merfruit, a cooked merfruit, the purple one, not the white one. And your merfolk will disappear for the 2 minutes that you need to be able to get on board their ship, and then put the grubs on there, and then hopefully hope that they don't find out. You know, do a sneaky moat to hide as a barrel on there or something. And then the last one is to serenade Flameheart for reasons with Jolly Good Fellow with at least 4 other pirates. So great that we're stroking the narcissistic flamey guy in the middle of the island on Reaper Hideout. So those will all earn you doubloons, and those will all count towards that 4,000 cap, which I don't think they've addressed at all. I don't think they've talked about the fact that there is a cap for doubloons. So with that, once you hit 4,000 doubloons, if you don't have anything to purchase, you're pretty much good till the next Bilge Rat Weekender. I don't know right now what the amount of doubloons are that are granted by the voyages, the smuggler's doubloon run, or the recovery of the secret shipment. So based on that, they have yet to actually show us like what the actual currency number is for that, and I haven't checked on Insider, so that's a mystery. But at least with that aspect of it, you guys will be able to earn up to a certain amount. Once you hit that cap, you won't have to worry about doubloons again. What does that mean for Reaper chests? I don't know. I really don't. But at least you know that the Reaper chests will help you get up to that 4,000 till eventually you're just like, okay, I'm good. And I think that is generally what you can look forward to with the Bilge Rat Weekender. Now, granted, this is just the main one. This is not like how all of them are going to go. Well, I would say most of them are probably going to go this way with just an emphasis on a different trade company for all intents and purposes. But yeah, that's it. That's Act 2 right there. I hope you guys are okay with that. You know, go have fun. Go have some fun. Go do some fireworks. Go do some weird stuff around Sea of Thieves. For some reason, Rare is really into the whole making you do random stuff in Sea of Thieves as like a challenge. And yeah, I don't know. But hopefully you guys have a good time during the weekend that's actually going on. Hopefully you guys are able to get the cosmetics that are associated with the Hunter's Call. So one of the things that was mentioned in the video is that during the Bilge Rat Weekender, stuff that you turn into the Hunter's Call will help you get credit towards the voyages that you do. I believe for them will get you cosmetics for the Hunter's Call that are time limited. So there's time limited stuff, which again, I genuinely dislike all of the emphasis on this time limited stuff because people like to do stuff on their weekends that isn't play games. And unfortunately, that seems to go over Rare's head. For whatever reason, they don't want to do weekends or weeks, or excuse me, just weeks. I feel like it would be nice. It would be nice if we actually could just do it a week, because then it would actually grant people the opportunity to do something other than, you know, kill their plans for Sea Thieves. Now, granted, I'm a domesticated house cat, so you know I'm going to be in my house regardless anyway. So I'm not terribly worried about it. I'll stay in house all day if I can. But it's one of those things that I'm going to say, like, the FOMO of this aspect is kind of like I don't really like that, but I can't really like say, oh, well, Rare shouldn't ever do this, because that's how you get people to log in. That's how you get people to log in, is by telling them that there's something that if they don't log in, they're going to miss out on that content. And that's rough. So that's it as far as the Bilge Rat Weekender. I don't think that there's really too much else that they're going to do. I do know that Mike had talked about something on social media that had effectively said that they had heard the feedback from a forum post that basically said like, hey, you know, we've heard the feedback. We want you guys to know that with the Bilge Rat Weekender, the content that is available for Duke is going to be made available for a little bit longer than it was initially, which I'm very happy about, because it's not fun when you don't necessarily already have when you don't have time to be able to get everything done. So I appreciate that they are effectively going to be extending the amount of time that content is available for you to purchase with the doubloons from Duke, so that you can then actually like get in there and do it if you had to log off soon and you didn't get a chance to go sail out to wherever he's going to be. Some other stuff that you guys want to be aware of that is going on during the rest of April is going to be April 17th. So that Friday after Act 2 kicks off, we're going to be getting some Twitch drops. And those are going to be going until April 22nd, which is kind of odd because we typically just have them for the weekend or we have them for a whole week. In this case, we're actually going to be getting them from Friday, April 17th to Wednesday of the following week. So they say here that good news for all Twitch viewers. More drops are incoming from April 17th to April 22nd. Tuning into any Sea of Thieves partner will set you on your way to unlocking extra gold, renown, and a voyage of luck, as well as the unusual bounty of exclusive items. This time, the haul includes the See No Evil emote, which we've had in the past, the Eastern Winds Jade Pirate title. I don't know. I'm going to be honest. I don't know. They're doing titles now. The Gilded Phoenix Drum and the Amethyst Mercenary Eye Patch and the Sea Serpent Blunderbuss. So you'll need to watch for a full 6 hours on any Sea of Thieves partner. I feel like it's been a while since they've done one for everyone, but I guess they're trying to make a point of giving reasons for the partners to be streaming their game, which is kind of important. It's kind of important that you give the partner something for sure. But as such, I know there's things that are going on with the partners right now. There's going to be changes in the coming future. What those changes are and who it impacts, not my business to tell, as I think that's all stuff that's kind of like inside an NDA. So, but I have heard that there's commotion going on with that, and it makes sense because it's been about a year since the Bilge Rat stream team thing was created, and Rare has a habit of starting up projects for a year and then usually trying something different the next year. So hopefully, whatever comes as a result of this is going to be still beneficial to the community as far as like enjoying the game and being able to work with Rare on stuff, but we don't know. And, well, somebody knows. I'm sure somebody actually has an idea, but I'm not in those meetings. So outside of that, of the Twitch drops for partners, there is going to be a Pirate Emporium Solo Styles sale, which is not the SAIL, but the SALE for discounts. And I don't know what that intends, so let's actually take a quick look here. So that's going to be going on from April 24th to April 29th, which is 5 days from Friday to Wednesday. Again, they're doing this weird Friday to Wednesday thing. I don't know why. Just make it a week. I don't know why that's a whatever. What do they say here? The Pirate Emporium's latest sale is focused entirely on the most important part of the game, you. During Solo Styles sale, which I appreciate the alliteration, not so much the words that they're using, you'll be able to get up to 30% off. Oh, hi, Fern. What's up, Bubba? Sorry, baby needs attention. You'll be able to get up to 30% off almost anything in the pirate tab of the Emporium, including clothes, weapons, equipment, emotes, to ensure that your pirate has the look that you want at the absolute best. So it'll be interesting to kind of see how that goes over, because I think that the 30% off is a nice way to kind of like, hey, say this is actually going to be a decent chunk of ancient coin off. And as always, I would recommend, if you guys are on the Xbox ecosystem and have been gathering those Microsoft Rewards points, you can always go purchase ancient coin using the Microsoft Rewards points. So if you want to get some coin out of that, you're more than welcome to. I know there are also websites. I think it's called Loaded now. Loaded instead of what was it before? G2A. They changed, I think, the name of their website. But they were selling gold, or not gold. I think they were selling ancient coin for money. And that was pretty good deals there. I've had a couple really good deals with there. Hi, Baba. Yes, that's motion sensor. So that's going to be going on from April 24th to April 29th. And that is about it. We're kind of past all the other stuff that's going on. The one thing that I will address is actually to do with the Sea of Thieves 2026 editions. So these were released on April 8th. And as in the past, after they have their anniversary, they usually come out with a new version of the game. They've done it for 2024, 25, and now 2026. I don't really remember them doing it too many other times because they've had like the anniversary edition and then the original launch, which is funny because I have I have the anniversary edition and the original version, as well as a signed copy of the original version physically. And I've always been kind of keeping my eye out for when Rare wants to do their next physical edition, which I doubt will be the case. But if you are looking for a reason to get cosmetics, this is usually a good deal. If you want to upgrade your version of the game to one of the premium editions, the standard bundled items, which is just Sea of Thieves with the Athena's Fortune audiobook and the Rough Guide to Sea of Thieves ebook, as well as the latest version of the Sea of Thieves original soundtrack. The deluxe edition adds the Sovereign clothing bundle, the Cardinal Lodestar weapon bundle, and 10,000 gold to spend in game, while the premium edition includes all of the stuff that I just mentioned, as well as the Cardinal, which is the red, the Lodestar costume, where you look like I don't know, like a starry constellation person. Imagine Silver Surfer if Silver Surfer was like a red Jello mold with little stars. And then you get the cat along with the ship set as the Lodestar ship set on there. So if you're looking for that stuff and you haven't already upgraded in the past, those are great ways to get that kind of cosmetics for money, but less money than you would typically have to spend on the Emporium. So grats to Rare for having another edition of the game. The trailer that they put out for that was one that, interestingly enough, contains content for the game that is no longer available. And I don't know why they necessarily decided that that was the best route to go. But if you haven't gotten a chance to go watch the 2026 edition trailer for like the PR aspect of the game, in there are a few scenes with not Lorena, but Belle. In Belle, during some of the adventures where she was kind of, like popping up on her buoy and kind of traveling around the world. And in those instances, she's usually saying something, and that something pertains to the point of the script that they wrote out for kind of saying like, oh, it's great to go sail on the Sea of Thieves. Oh, there's lots to do. Let's go dive into the Sea of Thieves game. Trying to get people interested in actually playing the game. All right, pirates. And as that is kind of it as far as news goes, that I thought was worth talking about, I thought it would be nice to kind of dive into some stuff that I haven't done in a while. And one of our patrons who has not been on the actual Gold Hoarder episodes, but is always commenting on every episode in the Patreon feed, put in a thing that I thought was kind of nice. And I wanted to kind of shout him out because it's been a while that outside of just the name calling that, or at least at the beginning of the episode, that I've really kind of drawn attention to this. So I thought it was a good write-up, and most of his usually are. So I just wanted to kind of say this one as Fern comes in and starts bugging me. So Jeff H wrote in, says, great pod, Cap. However, after going back and re-listening to your commentary and analysis to the dev direct, the more it seems to me that what you indeed describe exactly is a game going into or is already in maintenance mode. And as you said, as many others have as well, the way they're going about the Emporium, micro purchases and etc. is less than how, shall we charitably put it, transparent. As to custom Cs, as you stated, they're neat but niche. Even content creators will most likely utilize them for a month or so, only to be tossed by the wayside. Same goes with that tiny fraction of player base that will hold their own capture the flag type of events with their crewmates and friends. Moreover, the way in which the announcement Season 20's Chief Edition is custom creators or custom Cs was snuck in via a post dev direct again, and less transparency. Frankly, it was a tad insulting. I have no idea what's going on behind the scenes at Rare, but I do have a definitive opinion on when the game went astray. That's something I've opined on for 2 years ago. So no need to go over it again. I love this game, but man, oh man, is there it's more often that more often than not, a Sisyphean, actually, I'm gonna look this up real quick. Yeah, Sisyphean endeavor low these past 4 years. Jeff, fantastic word use. I appreciate the vocab usage there, because I remember some of these words, but I don't actually think I've ever seen them written out, which is kind of funny. But I know I've definitely heard them in books. But to speak to your comment, and I think a lot of folks' comments in this vein, it does feel like there's something astray. It does feel like Rare has kind of lost the thread of what they wanted to do. And for whatever reason, whatever's going on over there feels like they don't have the people that they did when they were in there, like building content that was really compelling content. So I hope there's something bigger going on that they just don't want to talk about. But that doesn't really, it's hard because they can't leak stuff early or really get people excited. I can tell you right now, people that are not playing Sea of Thieves right now are not keeping up with news about Sea of Thieves typically. And even if Rare was to actually put out news about what they want to do, the likelihood of that getting to the mass or the masses is very, very low. Like, you're going to run into a video that a content creator makes about it more likely than Rare's actual post for that. The community, the folks that are playing the game on a regular basis, consider it like one of their main games. They're always going to be there and excited about that stuff. Hence the Kraken comments about the revamped Kraken encounter, as well as the Orb of the Widow, or the Orb of Ancients that they're going to be doing at some point, as well as like the little teases in the lore that we got back in December. Like, we're gonna stay up to date on that kind of stuff. But a lot of people don't know about that stuff, and I don't blame them, because I have the same issues when I jump into other games casually. Like, for example, Fallout 76. Every once in a while, I'll pop into that game and be like, man, they're just cooking on this game. This game has continued to get updates over and over and over again. Every single time they're doing something to try and improve the quality of life for the community and add compelling events and new content and stuff. And they're trying to keep Fallout 76 alive, because it's going to be a while before they make another Fallout game. And to be perfectly honest, I'm totally fine with that, because I think that the Fallout community is like one of the best ones out there. But I also think that they really love Fallout. And you can only play those single player games so many times before you're kind of like, okay, well, I kind of did everything I could possibly do with this game. And at least Fallout 76 offers them a place where they can go and build whatever they want and commune with other vault dwellers and stuff. And I think that that's nice, but I definitely don't know a whole lot about what's going on the day to day or the week to week or the month to month with Fallout 76. Same thing with many other games like Fallout, or not Fallout, what's it called? Fortnite, Call of Duty, stuff like that, Destiny 2. Don't keep up with that stuff. So with Rare having that in mind, if they are thinking about this, I do wonder if maybe being a little too precious about the content that they want to bring to the game in the future is kind of them saying, like, you know, we don't want to show our hand too soon. We want to surprise people with the content that we're making. So we're going to hold off on saying anything. What it then comes across as to the community is they're not doing anything, because if they're not talking about anything, or the stuff that they're talking about is stuff that they've been talking about for the last few years that are finally coming to completion. Like, we've been talking about custom seas for a very, very long time. Back when Rare had actually rebooted their Sea of Thieves podcast after they'd gotten rid of Tavern Talk, they became very infrequent with their podcasts, and they rebooted it, and they had committed to doing them from time to time. It had been a while. They're on a once a quarter schedule, I believe, right now. Like, once a quarter, they're going to come together and talk for an hour about the game, outside of dev directs, outside of developer updates, outside of community directs and stuff. So we've been talking about custom seas for a very long time. And unfortunately, this is just one of those things where it's like they've been working on it so long and they have to put it out. I don't know that they feel confident enough to put it out there as a paid service, because that would actually hold them accountable, I believe, for maintaining the integrity of that game. Right now, Sea of Thieves has bugs. It's got bugs. We see bugs all the time. There's constantly things that are breaking or not working properly, or just weird interactions with things, and we deal with it. The state of the game, it feels good in some ways, and it feels absolutely horrendous in others. And the times when it does break, it's very noticeable and very upsetting, because you should expect a game this long in its lifespan to have some sort of like measured mark of where the quality should stand. And to be perfectly honest, by Rare's own admission, they're consistently missing the mark with that. So I definitely feel like it makes sense for folks to feel downtrodden about the state of the game, where it's going, what's actually going to happen, why things feel like they're just kind of winding down. And a lot of that, I want to say, has to do with the fact that the story is being told in a very passive way. We're not getting the full cinematic teasers that we used to with adventures. We're not getting adventures in a 3-act structure that takes us along for a certain amount of time to progress the story and change the world in meaningful ways, or at least in ways that are noticeable beyond just adding a new item or a new enemy type. And because of that, and because of the lack of tall tales, it feels like the world is stagnant. And unfortunately, when things are, when water is stagnant, that's when you start to breed bacteria. That's when you start to have like major issues of health concerns and stuff. So you start looking at the game being stagnant and you start to think, is this well? Is it moving? Like, get a stick. Let's poke it. Let's see what's going on. Will it move? And I don't think that that's necessarily the case for sure. I know that they have plans. They've talked about those plans, but it does feel like they've kind of been set on the back foot, and they're going to have to take time to really, really address, are we making the right choices with the content we want to make? And are these choices being backed by the time that they need to be able to be impactful choices in the content behind them? Or are we just going to make the same mistake that we've been making, where we rush and rush and rush to get something out? We don't test it. And as a result, we run into a situation where we're having to apologize because we once again missed the mark. And one of the things that I wanted to call out that is tied to this is actually from the Insiders forums. And this was something that, because I went into the Insider forums to kind of take a look and see like, okay, what's going on over there? Is there anything worth talking about? And of course I did the thing where I always do, where I shouldn't have actually done it. But I closed the tab that I actually had on there, but, okay, got it back open. So the thing I wanted to read is one of those things that, I think is good to understand if you're going into Insiders, but it does kind of feel a little bad as a community member, as a gamer, as something like this, because the Insiders, for all intents and purposes, if you have all of the rewards, because they have not updated the rewards or shown any kind of like intent to, outside of just words, to change the whole program for Insiders to try and reward players for their time. But over on the forums, Becky Frost posted a post that was, I believe, 5 days ago. It says, hey, Insiders, we're back and preparing for our next update. Insiders will receive 3 hardening builds before we take our next game update. This is your time to help us harden our next live update and help us launch at quality. The team will be keeping a close eye on this thread and make sure any serious game-breaking bugs get looked at quickly. To do that, we need your help. The team need to know about any new issues arising in this build that could cause problems if they make it into the game, or major problems with a new feature that needs fixing before release. So the thing that they pointed out here was how to use this thread. The little green checkbox, in case you didn't know, is the right thing to do. And they say report only serious game-breaking bugs that you find in Insider build. The things that you don't do, which have the red X, say do not report small bugs. Use the usual bug report system instead. Don't report old or already known issues. Keep using the normal bug reporting system for those. This thread is only for new serious problems. Don't start discussions. Just report issues so we can focus on fixing them. And if you guys don't know what a hardening build is, it's effectively them getting closer to the launch of a new update And it just means that they're focusing on polishing that update rather than adding any new items. Like the feature set's locked in. They just need the polish on there. And as much as I understand the intent of this message, what it says is, we're tired of hearing you guys talk about what you want and what you don't want in the discussions being had around that. We also don't want to hear about any of the stuff that we already know about or may not know about or may not consider a big deal. We only want to know about the stuff that is going to break the game. What I feel like is kind of the issue is the way that they're going about this. I understand that they are happy to have us support them in this, but it doesn't come across as appreciative. And maybe that's just my entitled perspective on it. But when they ask for our help and that they ask just for big problems or game breaking bugs, I'm glad that they want to focus on that. That should not negate other stuff being in there. It's just strange that the forum thread itself is just like, don't have discussions on what's being had, just report the stuff that is going to break the game. And I think that as you know, as a community manager, your job is to read all of the forum posts and keep up with everything. And if the discussion there is being had, the discussion, you know, for all intents and purposes, could be pertinent to what people are saying. If they're saying that's a small bug and someone else is saying that's a big bug, how are we supposed to know? We don't play the game internally to know what a big bug or a major bug is. Game breaking is one thing, but I don't know what a big bug is. So how am I supposed to report that? Like, there's not really a good way to identify like what a big versus small bug is. To me, a bug is a bug. Bugs should get fixed. You guys have 3 hardening builds to do this in. You got time. That's you know, 3 builds is effectively 6 weeks, I believe, of sprint work to be able to do that. So I don't know. I'd rather all the bugs get reported on this build as opposed to having to separate stuff that is small or big. So it's just one of those things that I don't like the way that comes across in, and I understand the point of it. And I don't know there's necessarily a better way to put it. But I think a better way to do it, well, and this is just a personal perspective, but I think that a better way to go about this is let people have the discussions and just let people have a tag in there, or just have more people reading the forums to be able to identify like issues. Like if people are going to have a discussion, that's the whole point of a forum. You know, if you have something where you like want to report something, then tell everyone to go to the reporting system, because the reporting system is going to create a ticket. And if it's a bug, then it'll go through that. Just to have them identify which build they're working on. Are they working on live? Are they working on insiders? If they're working on insiders, report the bug through the system. Don't use the forums. If you want to have forums, let people have discussions. That's the point of forums. That's why they're called forums. That's where the word came from. But that's just, it's again, me being kind of entitled about that. I want to make sure that insiders are treated with the understanding that their efforts to make the game better by reporting stuff that for whatever reason their team does not have enough people to cover is appreciated. So more so than just like what I currently feel like. I feel like insiders aren't getting anything for their efforts, and they're doing, you know, they're free QA effectively. They're getting free QA because they're sick of the game being in a state where the bugs are killing the enjoyment of it for everyone. So it is one of those things where I just wanted to bring that up. Because I was not too happy with the way that read. I think it could have been written a little bit more appreciative and a little less like, don't do this, do this. So, but that's just my personal opinion. Getting back to Jeff's comment, I do appreciate the responses there. And I had one more thing that I wanted to actually read out on a more positive note that actually kind of falls into the area of something that we haven't done in a while. So this came in, I believe it was actually yesterday, or I guess it was Sunday, technically Sunday. And it came in from someone called Lost Lorax. And they said, hey, I found your podcast on Spotify a couple weeks ago, looking for info on the doubloon reset. Hopefully you got that information. If not, this episode will hopefully be something that covers it for you. Just started playing in February and quickly became addicted to the game. Have since convinced all 6 of my Fallout 76 friends to join me on the sea. I've loved your podcast so much. I started at the beginning just for the fun lore dumps and listening to how the game evolved. I have no idea if you still do the first mate logs or anything, but this story of what happened to me and my friends today was too crazy not to share with you at least. I hope you enjoy, and maybe one day I'll see you on the seas. It started with me stalking my sloop, and this is coming from Lorak's perspective, the Mirkwood, and getting my pal Get from Ancient Spire. I informed him we're hunting Megs. After a while of hitting sea outposts and islands for plenty of supplies and spears, we were off. The first we found was the mighty Barnacle Dread, which he'd never fought before. I informed him we were in for a long fight, ball after ball, and fighting the Dread's children off the boat, we were finally victorious. Not long after, though, just as we snatched the last of the loot, out bursts the Hungering One. So we grabbed some supplies and back to our battle stations. This fight seemed to breeze by. Once it was done, we hurried to the nearest outpost where my pal gracefully bowed out of my chaotic adventure. However, my other pal, Turtle, quickly took his spot on the ship as I supplied up. On the map, we saw a red maw nearby, so we bolted to chase it down. Once we caught up with it, it was at the ready, buckets full of water and crates full of cannonballs. A few buckets of sweat and blood later, the beast was belly up. But that seemed to upset a nearby crested queen, who burst from the water, dead center on the loot, and meat from the red maw. Having no time to recover, we went back to battle. She fell from the depths quickly. Turtle harpooned himself on board and began setting it ablaze while I piled on the counter fire. Boards splintered and bones flying everywhere. And, oh wait, did I skip something? Let me see. Crested Queen. I feel like I skipped something. No require. She fell from the depths. Quickly, Turtle harpooned himself on board and began setting it ablaze while I piled on the counterfire. Boards splintering and bones flying everywhere. And as the dust settled, we felt a calm. The skeletons were done for, but maybe so were we. I feel like there was a skeleton ship in this fight as well too. So I'm taking a look. I actually don't see it, but I think there's a skeleton ship that actually spawned on them as well too. And now I just lost my place, of course. So in to pull ourselves, okay, patching holes and bucking water, we felt accomplished. However, that came at the price for as the last bucket of water was dumped, we heard the horn of a skeleton ship bursting from the depths. That's where it is. Quickly, Turtle harpooned himself on board and began setting it ablaze while I piled the counterfire. Boards splintering and bones flying everywhere as the dust settled, and we felt calm. The skeletons were done, but maybe so were we. Just like that, the calm was too calm, and I heard Turtle utter the phrase no one wants to hear. Oh no, why is the water turning black? Yep, that's right. We had stirred up a kraken with these back-to-back battles, for we had no time to pull anchor and leave between any of them. So we held fast for what and went to war with the enemy with the many armed beast of the seas. At this point, I was wondering if Turtle regretted jumping on my ship today. Then, with a squeal of pain, we had done it, beaten the kraken, and finally gotten anchor up to start moving. After the day we had already, I can't believe we thought that was the end. Just a few cannonballs, or just a few minutes away from an epic battle, or from epic battles we had just had, was another red maw waiting just on the other side of the next island. Flames ahead, Captain screamed, Turtle running to the lower deck, ready to patch holes and grab his eye of reach. I cranked the wheel and hit the anchor, spinning to the other side as I grabbed cannonballs and jumped the railing to land right next to my cannon. Boom! We were in it. Blow after blow. Just when we felt we had the upper hand, the red maw charged, flipping the boat. Turtle went from sea turtle to flying turtle to turtle dinner fast. I was trapped under the ship with no way to spin it back around. I had almost admitted defeat when I saw my rowboat. Quickly, I scurried, grabbing as much loot as I could, then as many supplies as I could. There I was, alone. A pile of loot, a crate of wood and fruit, a crate of cannonballs, a crate of throwing knives, and my rowboat. I was determined. The red maw was mine, and I will have my vengeance. Blasting it with cannonballs at a far, and even every time it came close, it was just in the water with my sword and throwing knives, trying any way I could to take the beast down. After a while, I had emptied my knife crate, and it was 20 cannonballs till out. But at this point, I would sword it to death if I had to. Then I heard the cry of death. Down the red maw went. I quickly rowed to a nearby seaport, and up to the horizon was my Mirkwood and turtle. They were too crazy to stay dead. At the ferry, spat them back out to gather me, the loot, and my war boat, which is the rowboat. We eventually made it to an outpost and sold our loot, as Turtle told me of an adventure he'd had trying to find me. All in all, it was a glorious day, and my friends have dubbed me the Sea Beast Slayer. With all the love, thanks for listening from Captain Lost Lorax. Thank you so much for sending that in. It's always really fun to kind of hear those, and what a wild time to have to be in when getting rared so much. I know a lot of folks have definitely been in those situations where as soon as you take out one beast, another shows up, and you're just thinking to yourself, really? Are we doing this again? All right, let's go. So congrats to Lost Lorax, Turtle, and Get for surviving their bouts with all of the things that Rare can basically throw at you. May you find many an ancient skeleton on the islands that you that you stick to in the coming future when you're tired of dealing with sea beasties. All right, pirates, I think that's going to do it for this episode. I really enjoyed kind of reading everyone's stories. I'm sorry to see so many folks were in trouble this year with, or not this year, this weekend with the fight nights. Hopefully you all got your 3 wins in and were able to get your Fallen Sea Dog jacket. It's a real shame, unfortunately, when stuff like this happens, because it's tough when you're trying to enjoy the game, and for whatever reason, the game is fighting you, and not in a way that the Lost Lorax did, but with latency, with bugs, with issues in the game that are causing the servers to act like they are on their last leg. But hopefully all of you had an opportunity to win and have some fun this weekend. And if so, definitely feel free to share those, as I do love hearing some of the stories that you guys have out there. Random shout out to Captain Chunky for being crazy and having some really fun stories that he shares, especially with his consistent losses as he gives wins in Hourglass. And hopefully, Godhammer, if you're hearing this, you're making a safe trip back home from the UK, and hopefully Sam didn't do anything to blow you up with a keg or anything like that. Hopefully you guys had a good time. I've appreciated the photos. Pirates, that's going to do it for this episode. As always, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for taking the time to kind of share this with other people, to say something in the comments on the YouTubes. All of that stuff is always appreciated, and it does help, even if you guys may not see the analytics. That engagement says a lot to YouTube, that you're enjoying the content and that you're wanting to engage with it, which then helps other people find it, like Lost Lorax over on Spotify. I think we just crossed over 3,000 rating on Spotify as far as the podcast goes, which is awesome. So thank you guys so much for all that as well too. But that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you guys had a good time, and I look forward to seeing what you guys find on the Bilge Rats Weekender. Who has the weirdest story, or who manages to get everything done, and if you enjoyed it, if you didn't enjoy it, because we'll definitely be talking about that later on as well too. So pirates, thank you, I love you, and I look forward to sailing with you on the Sea of Thieves.